Michael was one of these guys who like he wrote this book, How to Audition, and his guidelines, these 12 guidelines that he would teach people, he lived by them, like as a human being. And he was one of the, he was unpredictable. It was all about mystery, opposites, being unpredictable and making choices that were, that people were not going to guess. And that way, when because a lot of TV, you can guess what the actor's going to do, the way the story's going to go. And he was more about definitely taking risks and being different. And I remember doing my first scene in his class in front of like 140 people, and I never acted in a class in my life. And he gave me a scene from Streetcar Named Desire, and so I thought, oh, that's weird because Brando's obviously this guy that I've loved. So I, like, to a T, mimicked Brando and what he did in his performance in this class, and I don't think anybody got what I was doing. But, so afterwards there was this girl playing, Vivian, I think it's Vivian Lee's character, and Blanche's character. And, she got a ton of laughs, and everybody loved her character. So at the very end, Shirtlif's like, okay, out of all the things that I've, taught you guys, let's take a poll here. How many people think that Lori Lee would get cast if there was a thing between Lori Lee and Kenny getting cast for these roles? Who would say Lori Lee would get cast? And about 129 people raised their hand, out of 130. And then and then he goes, who thinks Kenny would be the one that got cast in this role? And then one person raised their hand, and he goes, all the people that raised your hand, you're wrong. You're completely wrong. And then he just sort of went on and on about why they would have chosen me for this thing. And it gave me, I don't know, man, it gave me confidence that to make choices that are from you and not predictable, I think. Not safe choices, but kind of, he would give me scenes, man, and I'd show up with guns and leather and chainsaws, and I swear to God, I would incorporate all these crazy things into it, and he just loved it. So it just let me kind of explore and go out there on a limb, when I first began. So it was kind of cool.
Oh, it's fantastic. Well, let's go to a very famous cameo that you did, and it's a very kind of strange one because, I remember when I saw it, and I had to kind of look twice, and it was just after I was actually watching The Shield Blade. You show up at the beginning, you get saved by Wesley Snipes' character Blade, who proceeds to kick everybody's asses. What are your memories of that?
I had a blast. That was a role that originally there were only 2 lines, and Steve Norrington, this English director, he just came in and kind of went through the whole thing and told me what he was looking for, and and everything he said I did. And then we went to shoot the thing, and went from 2 lines to the first 10 minutes of it where he just let me improvise stuff. And Wesley was super nice. Norrington was great. Tracy Lords was wonderful. She was a little thing with her in the car and then at the club. It was great, dude. It was 2.5 weeks of shooting, dancing in the blood. So we had blood coming for 2.5, 3 days. We would dance with his blood coming down in our faces, and I had a great time. Stephen Dorff was actually a kind of cool guy, and I really, really enjoyed that experience.
Another friendship that you're known for, and you've worked with him on The Shield, is Walton Goggins. Now, is it you actually met him on a film set, didn't you?
Yeah. Major League Back to the Minors.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Back in Charleston, South Carolina. Yeah, that was phenomenal. Walton and I ended up renting a house together, and we had just met out there on film, and we became really close right away. And he just said, "Let's get out of the hotel, let's rent a house, and we'll split it." So we spent 3 months together, and out on Folly Beach, and dude, we shared every possible thing we could together. We became really, really, really close. So for him to show up in The Shield the first day, and both of us didn't know we were cast.
The great thing about Walton Goggins is you two have such an amazing chemistry with each other. You could definitely see that in your performance with him, because it seems like whenever you two are on screen, you could definitely tell that that you've shared so much with each other.
That's very good. That's good. That's awesome. That is good. You never know. When we did Major League 3 together, again, we were never in any speaking scenes together. We were playing ball, but all my scenes and his scenes were opposite. So again, we got along great. When we were hanging out at the house, and everything, but you never know. So when the Shield came up, again, he and I both thought, well, we've actually never really been on screen acting together. I hope it works. But for whatever reason, man, I appreciate it. But yeah, the chemistry between Walton and Michael and myself just sort of happened. I mean, it was just there. So that was like a God-given thing right there, man.
Well, we got to get to it. The Shield is one of your absolutely major roles. Everybody remembers for you. It's such a fantastic show. You landed the role of Lemn, but initially you were supposed to be Terry, weren't you?
Yeah, initially, I read for Terry, and Deborah Aquila, she called me back in for the part of Lemn. And Lemn originally was supposed to be a bald guy. And you're like, the story behind the Lemn is Lemonhead. Sean Ryan, who created the show, is a bald head. So he actually was looking for a leading guy as Vic Mackey that he never envisioned as being bald. He just had a different vision until Michael Chiklis came in and got the role. And then when that happened, the part of Lemn could have hair. And the lemon head came from, Sean used to put these lemon towels on his head, so his head always smelled like a lemon. So he was a bald lemon head. So that's where, lemon head came from. But it just worked out that Michael got cast as Vic Mackey. And then, they called, Deborah had me come in for this character of Lemn. And she goes, I want you to come back. So thank God. I mean, otherwise I would have been, if I got Terry, I would have been killed in the first episode. But it worked out okay, man.
Was it not that, I don't know if this is true, but was it not that Sean Ryan actually wrote the character for you, or was that character actually there already? It's just that he was so impressed with you that he just brought you on as Lemn.
No, well, what it was is he was a character that was only going to be like in the pilot, and maybe he would show up in 1 or 2 episodes. In the pilot, there was, Sean never had the intention of the show being about the strike team. When we shot the thing, this is what we found out later on, the heads of FX, I think, didn't even like Walton. So they were saying, we don't want this guy in the show. He's not even a likable character. Get rid of him. And so Sean then wanted to prove to him that, no, I need this guy, because of what they felt like they saw in the pilot was this thing between Walton, Lemonhead, and Vic Mackey, that they didn't want to lose that. So he wrote strongly for Shane at the beginning, which then convinced the network, okay, no, we love Shane now. We want to keep Shane. And I think Deborah Aquila also told Sean that if you don't get Kenny as a series regular, you're going to lose him to another show. And and these guys have a chemistry that you'd be stupid if you lost him. So Sean never had any intention of even keeping my character in maybe 1 or 2 or 3 episodes in the whole season, and they wouldn't really be anything, And so it came from that in his mind to after the pilot came out that they offered me a series regular, and then from that point on, it was like they needed to write for my character. So it wasn't a character he ever thought of as a full character, and this is where I'm going to go with him. I think that, one of the great things about Sean is he stays true to characters and human beings. He doesn't try to jump right into something or try to throw a whole history of something that's not earned. So I know for Lemonhead, it was a slow burn. I mean, it was like, okay, who is this guy? He's part of the strike team, and we don't really know. And then, eventually, I think because he just saw me as a person, and I've probably whatever, I got a semi-conscious or sensitive to things as a human being, and he picked up on that. So as the show went on, and my reactions were all about, okay, how would this guy actually feel about these situations? And I was torn between, is this right or is this not right? In reality, I think anybody put in these situations would be like, we're doing all this stuff that's really bad, and then if it ends up getting people killed, how would you really feel inside? So I kind of played that as what was going on in Lemn. Like, there's a lot of guilt, and there's a lot of like, is this really right, what we're doing? Does the end justify the means? And so for whatever reason, over the years, then Sean started kind of playing on that a little more and a little more until he decided to have the conscience killed off.
Yeah, because the interesting thing about that is Vic Mackey almost plays the guy who doesn't have a conscience, who tries and justifies everything he does. Then you've got Shane, who does have a conscience, but is also going with what Vic wants, and is trying to be like Vic. So the only moral character you've got there is Lemn.
Right,
so you really need Lemn.
Right.
Well, what I was going to say was, did you have any reservations about the show itself going in? Because it's dealing with some very heavy topics. You got murder and police corruption, things like that. Did you have any reservations going into it?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I think I was like probably everybody that read the script is like,